Welcome to the Ten Hill Studio podcast. This is Rohan.
And this is Suyash.
So, just to give you a little bit of an idea about what Ten Hill Studio is, Ten Hill Studio is an urban clothing and lifestyle boutique in Calcutta where we have around 15 to 30, you'd say,
Yeah.
brands from around the country, homegrown brands that are primarily made in India, along with two of our own in-house brands, which is our jewelry brand Michelle Alexander, and also our in-house clothing line, which is under the Ten Hill Studio label. So today we wanted to start out with kind of giving you guys a little bit of a background as to Ten Hill Studio, why we started, maybe a little bit about Suyash, some of the things that we're planning right now, maybe the state of the streetwear culture in India, and maybe our future plans.
Right, definitely. So that would be like kind of a gist of it. Like this is a intro to what we are going to have on the series of podcasts from here on. We'll have a few guests here and you'll definitely get to see some faces who are at the same time inspirational, funny, and in the all way every certain character you can think of.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
from
I mean, there are quite a few unique people in this space, both in terms of streetwear, but also in terms of music, in terms of art, in terms of just there's some cool things happening in Calcutta as well as India, but a lot of it is very underground and kind of behind the scene or behind closed doors. And I think there will be a primary focus of the podcast to kind of introduce you all to a lot of these people,
Right.
but also we kind of want to have some kind of educational aspect to these podcasts as well,
Exactly.
which is maybe how to start your own streetwear brand, maybe if you're an upcoming rapper, maybe what are the pitfalls and things to avoid, maybe from a business standpoint, from owning your own brand, and maybe the entrepreneurial spirit that comes with owning something, maybe the ups and downs of our venture, which is Ten Hill Studio, and a little bit more about, from our experience, what we see day to day and kind of the growth this space is kind of going through, essentially.
For sure. So, yeah, this is going to be a mode of entertainment for you all for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
To follow along with the journey, that's also an aspect of it. But yeah, I guess we'll have some people that can teach you a lot, not just you, but we'll be learning from them a lot.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, it's a community. So we exchange all of these things, all of these feelings and
Concepts,
emotions,
yeah.
concepts, and
Yeah.
we grow together. That's the main.
Just touching on that a little bit, just the fact that you mentioned community. Community is so important when it comes to this space, because I feel personally that there isn't many of us. So if we have the people that are interested in these things and actually get them involved in it, it just makes the whole experience much better. So if
Exactly.
you're into streetwear, you're into, say, hip hop music, you're into tattooing, you're into skate culture, you're into surf culture, any kind of alt mainstream culture, I
Yeah.
feel like we are in that kind of a realm, I guess.
For
right?
sure, we give those vibes. So yeah, you're here for
I
the
mean,
vibes.
we definitely try to give those alt vibes. I don't know if we really succeed in that, but hopefully the plan is that maybe it can be both entertainment as well as educational for sure. Yeah.
Right, for sure.
So, do you want to start off with your first topic that you had in mind? So, just an FYI, Suyash has a list of topics that he planned out for today. So, if he's ever referring to his phone, just know that he's actually kind of looking at the topics and stuff.
So yeah, we are definitely going to be having a lot of artists and brand owners. But the first brand owner we have here is Rohan himself.
Right.
So I just wanted to know, like, I have finally gotten this opportunity to, have a series of Q&A with him. Otherwise, it's just like random questions dropping in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So now that we are more organized here, I would like to place all of these questions. So
Sure.
how did a science you had a science background, you did your masters in US,
Right.
and you did your engineering, and then you came back to India and you decided to open a clothing store.
Right.
You were into streetwear and stuff like that. How did that come about to happen?
Sure. So I'll take you guys a little bit back. So, I mean, for the longest time, like, I really thought that in school, science was a big passion of mine. And then engineering in college, which I went for my undergraduate degree to America, and also my postgrad, I did in engineering. And whilst I was doing that, one of my biggest interests was always fashion. Like, I would consume a lot of fashion YouTube, I would consume just a lot of fashion content overall,
Right.
like just, and the thing that I was super into was actually first, before anything, like vintage clothing and like thrift culture.
Right.
So I used to
Right.
consume a lot of content on vintage clothing and thrift culture. And there was a time when every time I went out to shop, like I used to go and check out like a new vintage store. So, for example, like the city that I was staying in, Baltimore, like we would have one entire road where it was just vintage boutiques. And those used to be my favorite kinds of stores, essentially,
Right.
just because of the aesthetic. And I really liked that kind of old school look, or the retro vibes, as I guess they call them now. And so that kind of like also grunge, fashionish, those were things that I really cared about. And so that's why I kind of got into vintage clothing and kind of thrifting and stuff like
So
that.
that's where Daniel's small thrift section comes from.
Right.
Didn't
Yeah.
you used to run a proper thrift store called Everything Man Store?
Yeah. So, I mean, Everything Man Store was initially like what we were doing was kind of sourcing similar to now, but we used to source like streetwear products and then sell them online.
Okay.
Um, the thrift culture, or the thrift clothing store, which was also Everything Man Store, that also kind of came about because I loved thrifting, right?
Right.
So I kind of, when I came back to India, I kind of figured out the whole like scene in terms of the supply chain. And I was always really interested in how we could get that, um, those levels of vintage clothing in Calcutta,
Right.
as you would see in, say, a US based or UK or European based vintage store.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of when thrift culture was really burgeoning in India because of thrift stores in the Northeast. And there were a couple of people like, I think, so the Super Vintage Thrifts.
Right.
So I remember when he started out, like I used to even buy some stuff on wholesale from him. So
Hmm.
like some flannels and stuff like that. So he's also someone that's like, making very active efforts to kind of bring in a lot of product from outside. And so his supply chain is pretty cool also. So just shout out, I think, Paras from Super Vintage Thrifts. Um,
Paris.
yeah, big fan. Um, so yeah, that's like how kind of I got into thrift culture. And simultaneously, while I was doing engineering, like I kept getting drawn into like fashion as well. So since fashion was a primary aspect of my interests, I wanted to do something that combined my engineering and fashion together. So my master's program, I did a project with Under Armour, which was like kind of taking the woodpecker mechanism of the beak being able to absorb shock, and kind of maybe use those structures or hierarchies and implement them in like the soles of these sneakers, essentially. So just like a
That's
better
hard.
shock absorbing shoe, essentially. And then after that, like I was considering doing a PhD in something called smart clothing, which
Hmm.
was essentially So personally, I don't know about you, but like I am either feeling too cold or too hot. So my ideal temperature bracket or range is like 15 to 25
Yeah, it's
degrees.
like 15 days throughout the year that you feel the optimal temperature,
Optimal
right?
temperature. Yeah. So what I wanted to do was create clothing that basically either makes you feel warm when it's cold or cold when it's warm.
That's
So
interesting.
engineer it in such a way, whether it's via fabric or via, we came across few ideas or concepts with one of my professors, which was nanotubes and stuff like that. But so I decided that that would be something that would be really difficult to do at the time. However, that still remains like a long term goal for me to probably set up some kind of research and development for something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I came back to India after my master's, and what I found was that I couldn't shop anywhere. Like honestly, like because I was always into streetwear or high fashion or shoes, sneakers, whatever. Like I think at the time when I came back, there weren't that many stores, like boutiques catering to men. Like I definitely
Right.
saw a lot of boutiques for women,
For
but like
women, it's like there's a lot of options out there, but for us men, there weren't many up until like 2 3 years ago.
right,
Like I believe men's fashion in India has recently popped up.
for sure,
Like fashion for men would mean a well ironed shirt and
right,
some good trousers or maybe a
right.
polo t-shirt or something like that.
I think the polos are definitely
Yeah,
something.
the polos were like for the special occasions and stuff like
Right,
that.
yeah,
But yeah, for recently, in India, the concept of the gender being a spectrum, it
right.
has really helped a lot. Like this concept coming to India, like there's no labels to this being a male clothing item or a
No,
female
yeah,
clothing item.
yeah.
Everybody's wearing whatever they like. It's
Very
all
gender
unisex,
fluid.
and
Yeah,
especially streetwear. Streetwear being something in which everything is unisex. Like we call ourselves a unisex store. Tunnels is a unisex store. Every item over there can be worn by anybody.
yeah,
So that's something which has really helped the men get into fashion a lot.
right.
So yeah, that's something which has really, you know,
Yeah,
looked
it's
after.
been a very recent thing, mostly because if you really go back to 2017, end of 2017, early 2018, which is when I came back to Calcutta, there was no Zara, there was no H&M.
Right.
There weren't these boutiques that you can go to and kind of shop in. The only things that I realistically saw were like at the end of stores, you would have small men's sections, and most of them were super dull. Like
Right.
they'll either be gray, navy, white, black. Like those are your
Exactly.
options. There's no color to it. There's no like vibrance. So there's no way to express yourself. And
True.
as someone that from a very early age has always believed in fashion as a mode to express yourself. Like it was like almost like as if the society kind of forced you into some kind of mold almost. And that's how basically everything Man Store came up, was that we wanted to have a store which was exclusively for men,
Exclusively.
which is why I called it Everything Man Store. And at the time, like my plan for Everything Man Store was that we're gonna create or have like this marketplace where it's only gonna be men's products. And that
Right.
was like what my thinking was at the time, just because it felt as though like there just wasn't enough of it.
And there
Or
was not. There
or
was
any
not.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the way you mentioned that there was a sort of mold which was already created for the men. So while growing up, like you have to have those characteristics, like to be
Right.
called a man. You have to have a bold personality, dressed in sharp, clean, crisp clothes, which are only
Tight
dull
fit.
colors. Yeah, tight fits definitely came into fashion at that time. But yeah, having so many options right now, uh, props to all the streetwear brands coming up,
Oh yeah.
and all these people and these artists and the designers working towards this goal.
Yeah, I think
It's
the combined goal, and even seeing the growth of just streetwear over the last like 3 years. Like I remember when I came back and I was just kind of seeing and searching for brands online. There must have been 5 or 6 brands doing streetwear in total,
hmm.
and to today there's like hundreds. Like I can't even
There's one popping up every hour.
like
Believe
okay
me,
that the exaggeration.
there's a streetwear brand popping up every hour now.
Yeah, so like just shout out to some of the OGs that I don't know if they're around anymore as much, but I remember Hall Apparel was one of the earlier ones that were doing like kind of based out of tattoo culture and kind of
Oh,
had these tees that were very using tattoo artists artwork on these tees, and
that's cool.
I think they used to do a lot of stuff with skate culture and stuff as well. And there was a sneaker brand called Rad Sneakers, which
That's cool. Rings
yeah,
a bell.
rings a bell. Yeah, so there were a few early kind of Delhi Wear was an early streetwear brand. Um, I think Almost Gods had just started out then, but hadn't really created that identity that they have now. Um, Shout out Dhruv. Um, yeah, Jaywalking's been making crazy moves in
Yeah,
the last few years.
definitely.
Like
So,
crazy moves,
like
right?
coming to all of these brands, like looking from a third person point of view, if you were to say talk about streetwear in India, what would be the major brands that as of now come into your mind, and why have these brands created this identity for themselves? Why do you think so they are where they are right now?
So for me, obviously there are a lot of brands that you can kind of name, right? Like just off of my mind, I'll just give you some honorable mentions and then tell you the ones that I think are like really pushing the envelope. So on top of my mind, I have obviously Jaywalking, Almost Gods, Human, Blue Orange, Desi Minimals, Bomaki, Halo Effect. Am I missing any? Do you recall?
Uh, I really like Skating Monk.
Skating Monk, yeah, of course. I love Skating Monk. Toffle,
Yeah, Toffle,
Space Biscuit,
definitely.
Nor Black Nor White,
Did you mention Rising Among?
Rising Among. Okay, I don't know much about Rising Among,
So Rising
but
Among
I do really like 656.
656 is really cool.
Yeah, their
Definitely.
video campaigns are really cool. Like I'm actually pretty impressed by their video campaigns. I think they did one um like their first video campaign, I think it was more like trap money kind of vibes or something like that.
Mhm.
But their second video was like actually really impressive. I can't
And
remember the name though.
the thing which I really love about 656 Street is that so they essentially started out from a community. Like they had a streetwear based this alt mainstream community which focused around of everything around sneakers, hype sneakers, streetwear, skating, and everything around that. And then they went on to become a store catering to this audience that they had. So that was really something which hit me, and like
For
having the
sure.
community feature gives you such an impact.
Right. So if you ask me like which couple of brands are really pushing the envelope, I think only two brands, if you ask me, are really pushing the envelope. One would be Jaywalking, obviously. I think anyone that is in the space knows that they are doing some really cool things. I just think that from not only like a marketing perspective, but like he just understands what the culture is about.
Mm.
He understands his audience. He's built like a really big cult audience. And I think anyone, whether you're a casual fan of streetwear or if you're really into streetwear, you definitely have visited Jaywalking's Instagram page at least. I
Definitely.
would have
And
said website, but like he shuts it
yeah, he
down.
shuts
So
it down. That's
yeah,
that's a great
great marketing stunt.
marketing move, I
Yeah, yeah,
believe, for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, honestly, like I feel like more brands should be doing that because if you think about streetwear, you think about drops,
Right.
and if you have your website open all the time, then it's not
Hmm.
really a drop
Not really a
necessarily.
job. So like,
So
uh, I had these. I had a conversation with my friends a few weeks back, and they were mentioning that jaywalking is kind of becoming like the essentials of India. So, what do you think
interesting.
along those terms? Like, everyone has to have jaywalking. If you are a hype lover and you are Indian, you want to support the Indian hype culture, you need to have a jaywalking t shirt. Is that
I
something that you
I
agree with?
don't know if he would think of it in that way. I don't know if I think of it that way. I think that jaywalking is a great entry level kind of street. By I mean entry level, I mean a lot of people that are entering into the streetwear culture space or the love for streetwear are finding jaywalking first, and therefore, I think. Like I think he's just the biggest right now, honestly. Like it just comes down to that to some extent. And I think there will always be comparisons of this and that, this and that. But I think that his brand is so tied into his personal identity
Right.
that his personal identity kind of drives the brand. And I think that to compare that with anyone else doesn't make much sense because I find him to be quite a unique character. And that's for better or for worse. Like whether
Definitely.
you really like him or you don't like him or you hate him, like I think that comes with the territory almost. And I think for me, the other brand that I think is really pushing the envelope is Almost Gods.
Yeah.
I think their designs, their like detailing to their designs, the kind of brand identity they've created. That new store looks sick, man. Like
Yeah, the
their
store
Delhi
looks
store,
really
like
sick.
throw if you're hearing, like you killed it, bro. Like that was insane.
Definitely.
Like actually, like those statues and stuff, like that's impressive. Like when you, I mean, if you're buying something from them or you enter their space or the world that they've created, like they have created a world where it's like almost gods. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like,
Definitely.
um,
Like, there's a certain design element to them that they always try to explore and find something new, and they just don't try to be lazy on their designs, if I might
oh
say.
yeah, bro. I mean,
It shows how much effort and dedication and thought went into each design before it
right.
reached us.
I think not just from a design element. I think what really matters in that situation is creative direction, and I think
Hmm.
that Throve is doing an exceptional job with creative direction.
For sure.
I don't know whether he designs the products himself or not, but I know that he's functioning as the creative director.
Right.
And I think that his creative direction has been superb. Like, and I think you'll find that there are more brands that are going to be coming out with creative directors that have a very specific vision and concept. I think that the things that always stay in your mind while you might see ads of a bunch of streetwear brands, like the reason why Jaywalking and Almost God stand out to me is because they've created such a strong identity.
Right.
And
For sure.
even though Almost Gods may not be the most popular streetwear brand in the country, I think in terms of sales, I have no idea, but I'm guessing there are brands that are doing potentially better that we haven't even spoken about right now. But what he provides to the space in terms of like just creating something so unique, like just creating something so unique that it's like you can't, like, how do you argue with something that's like that creative and that unique, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like even if you don't buy his products, like you have to be like, okay, no, it's cool though.
That's
like,
cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't buy his teas, you have to still be like, okay, like that's cool. Like the fact that he's creating these concepts and these pieces and his collections are like so thematic. Like
Mad
very
collections.
impressive. Very, very impressive. So shout out Jay, shout out Dhruv, shout out Jaywalking, Almost Gods. Um, any upcoming brands that are catching your attention?
Uh, I really want to see what the, like, from my perspective and my own sense of fashion. I really like a skating monk,
Right.
but I've been awaiting their next collection for the longest time now. So yeah,
I mean,
it really depends
there
on.
was that one piece both of us really liked, the Christmas
Yeah,
dinosaur shirt. Yo, I don't know if a skating monk is still doing it, but like in our store during the winter time, there was they had sent us like a bunch of these shirts to kind of showcase in our store,
right.
and those were so lit.
They
Like
were so sick. So they had a dragon,
not dragon, dinosaur.
a dinosaur,
And then cats
and a
flying, the Santa
Yeah.
mobile, and then
Yeah, it was
and then
crazy.
they
There were
had
just so many
chains.
things.
Yeah,
on
there
that.
was like the design elements on that, and then having like an all over print, like button down half shirt, is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
We know that from experience, since
Exactly,
we're
like-
starting to make our own collection now. So
So doing it on a t-shirt still, like, it's comparatively easier, but
Oh, of
to pull
course.
it off on a shirt, and for people to like it so much that they would want to pull it off themselves is
yeah.
another big deal. Like, I have usually gone for a safer side for my own fashion sense, but that shirt, when I looked at it, I was like, yo, this is where I push my limits.
yeah, I think that there was one outfit they did which was like the dinosaur shirt, and along with it they had the painter's jeans.
Yeah,
That
was
entire
sick.
outfit was like pretty banging. Like,
and
spot
and
on.
those jeans, I would like to comment on, the finish was so good, like the way they fall.
You bought one, right?
I did buy the whole outfit, and I wore it everywhere. So yeah,
So you wore it
Yeah.
during like Christmas and shit.
I didn't know. I was in Goa during Christmas, so I wore it there. So yeah,
Did you get compliments?
yeah, definitely. People
Yeah,
were asking
shout,
about that.
shout
shit.
out a skating monk. They have been one of the brands that have always supported us
Right.
and always put their new collections in our store, and it's just great to see what they're doing and how much they've grown. And I think that, like you said, it's when we're talking about the streetwear landscape, it would be a miss to not talk about a skating monk.
Right. So talking about something that we can't miss, I would really like to bring this up. So Rising Among was in the Paris Fashion Week.
Oh yes, I
Yeah.
did see that. Yeah,
So what's your thoughts on that? Like a streetwear brand from India going to Paris Fashion Week. That
I
was
think
really cool.
were they supported by one of these media companies? Is that how they got? Was it Soul Search or something? Or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so they went on their own accord. You
Right.
think? I mean, so even Human. So apparently, so when I was speaking to the brand owner of Human, she said that their first ever collection they dropped in Paris Fashion Week.
Oh,
So they started out their brand in Europe, and then only recently, around a year and a half ago,
okay.
they started retailing in India more so. So they had created, but to your point, like Paris Fashion Week is the ultimate goal for most brands. So whether it's a small kind of show or a big show or whatever, just being there is probably like a unique experience. And
Right,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
they got a lot of traction out of that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And like, uh,
did you see the show though?
I did not, but I saw like loads of clips out there. Like it was all over the like my Instagram feed is mostly streetwear, so
Right,
everybody, all the community was posting about it and people sharing them, supporting them. It was a very wholesome moment.
right.
But at the same time, it was like really interesting to see how far we have made it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, putting the like a homegrown brand basically selling mostly in the domestic market to then eventually reach a stage like Paris Fashion Week is pretty impressive.
And
Like
like
pretty impressive.
for them to reach there, like we look it looks really easy, but they were representing India as a whole
Yeah.
because they were one of
And
the first streetwear brands to reach there.
yeah, and not just India as a whole, but also the representing the streetwear community,
Right,
representing the fashion community,
for sure.
and at least from the streetwear community aspect, like it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I watched a little bit of their show, but I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it necessarily, but I'm just like really happy that they got that platform
Right,
and they I'm sure they worked really hard on getting those designs ready and everything. Like the behind the scenes of most of these Paris fashion documentaries. Like I watched one with Reese Cooper,
right,
and it seems so hectic, like so hectic. And I think Rising Among is female owned.
right. There
I
are
think there's
couple
two
of
female
yeah,
entrepreneurs, and I think that just adds like a crazy element, and the fact that it was two women entrepreneurs from India going abroad and like creating this
definitely.
beautiful event for everyone to come together to is like amazing.
Now coming to something which Rohan has been quite vocal about. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but he does like sneakers. He really likes sneakers, but he's not a big fan of hype.
Right.
So he does not get the hype around certain things of certain products, may I say. So what's your thought on the sneaker community, the sneaker culture, which is growing exponentially in India right now?
It's not like anti the community or anything. I think that I really do think it's good for the community. I don't think it's bad, but
So
uh,
the hype is good for the
the
community.
hype is very complicated, right? Because there are so many variables that are involved in something like this.
Huh.
In general, I find it a little sketchy.
The
I think
resale market
I'm
is
talking, okay, yeah.
itself anywhere, any.
So exactly. So okay, let me make this clear, right, to all of y'all. I am not against the sneaker community or sneaker culture. And of course, like our store resells a lot of shoes and stuff as well. So it's not like I can, if I'm saying I'm against it, kind of being a hypocrite of sorts. But one day I'll explain why I have sneakers. But in general, what I found in my own personal journey with fashion was that I was super obsessed with sneakers when I was in my early 20s.
Right.
And as I'm getting older, like I'm looking for more, alternatives that are, brands that are homegrown. So my focus has really shifted not from sneakers, but from Western sneakers to homegrown based sneakers.
Hmm.
So what I'm really actually advocating when I say things like that is that I feel like our footwear space in India or the sneaker space in India coming out like homegrown space Like there aren't many brands that are
Right.
really getting any kind of recognition.
True. True.
So if you have your Nikes, Adidas's, Pumas, all of these bigger brands, like, and you never speak about the homegrown brands, I think that's problematic. So when we're having these discussions, it's you are repping the hype stuff, right? Like the Yeezys and stuff. I mean, I'm slowly getting you away from that because I make points like these, which is like, so for me, like, there's this footwear designer called Kavit
Right.
Sainani, who makes bespoke sneakers as well as loafers and boots and stuff. And I actually found when we were starting out the store and I contacted him because I just fell in love with what he was doing. And he and his dad, they handcraft each shoe. So they use techniques that they learned in Italy. Like he's gone to Italy, he's learned how to cobble and
Damn.
stuff. So there's a difference when you have a shoe like that, like where the love and the effort of someone that is a part of the culture, that understands the culture, making something so unique, it makes a difference, right? So I've been super on like Kavit, a skating monk has their own shoe line,
Yeah, yeah,
which
they
is
do.
very impressive. Like more budget sneakers, I would
Yeah.
say. Um, a skating monk, obviously, like it would be amiss to say that if we're having this discussion. So the owner of a skating monk, I don't know if you know this, but also owns Woodland, the
Oh,
shoe company.
that's interesting.
So it's not like it would be crazy for him to come up with a shoe line. But even then, what he's doing is very, very different from Woodland as a brand. So
Right.
this is his baby. I think his dad is the one who's kind of involved with Woodland. And but even then, like what he's creating is truly unique, honestly. I
That's
didn't want to just mention that for the sake of it, just to kind of underplay what he's doing. But like the shoe aspect, I just wanted to tell you like the
no,
connection
like
between the shoe manufacturing,
uh,
like a skating monk's shoe quality is gonna be amazing. Is my point
obviously
because they have
all the
hundreds years of
resources.
experience in shoe manufacturing. That was my point. It came out way different. It came out heavy nepotistic.
No, like not even nepotistic. Like for him to, he could have joined Woodland. He could have been
Yeah,
in a top management position and done wonders there as well.
right.
But like all of us in this community, he, I believe, is also a part in a way, and he came up with this brand to express himself. He decided to step away from the family business and grow something which he is passionate about.
Right.
So that's something which I mean, props to him.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a lot of guts, especially here to kind of just for anyone that's trying to kind of um, do something which is super passion oriented or kind of follow their dreams and passions is like seemingly a very exciting thing, like,
Right.
or even gutsy and
It
kind
is
of
gutsy, it is exciting, but it's not that
डर
easy.
के आगे जीत.
डर के आगे जीत, right? So, yeah, like talking about the Indian brands, Indian sneaker brands. So, like, I
Wha-
have been a
So what would an Indian sneaker brand have to do for you to move away from a Nike or Adidas and into them?
so
My second
so hear
question.
me out. Hear me
Wait,
out.
my second question before I forget it. So when it comes to streetwear brands, clearly you've adopted a lot of homegrown brands, right? You just mentioned how you're a big fan of a skating monk. So why is it that you only wear Yeezys, Jordans, SBs, and are you ever going to give Indian brands a chance?
So
Also, Bata is not an Indian brand.
yeah, now I accepted that I have been a hype,
Beast.
not a hype
High
beast is a very
beast,
big
bro.
term.
If you
So
see what he's wearing right now, like, I'm pretty sure you're wearing Fear of Gods. Like,
yeah, so I have always had these sneakers on. Like I really like these colors and these silhouettes. The Air Jordan ones being the
oh, yeah.
timeless classics of
Yeah.
all time.
I
So
mean, if you're into sneakers, it would be crazy not to
not to
love.
have.
Like, the classics, like, I get.
Right.
Like, but the classics are also not reselling in the market for 100x, right? That's what the line comes between hype and,
So yeah, that definitely is.
like, Travis Scott's shoe isn't a classic shoe.
It is not. It definitely is.
Yeezy's new silhouettes are not classics. When you mention classics, I think of Jordan 1s, I think of Jordan 4s, Cements, I think of the Concords, I think of the Cortez. Uh, these, the Air Force Ones, my favorite shoe of all time.
For sure.
All white, triple white Air Force Ones.
They're going crazy right now. They've picked up recently. People are wearing their beaten up Air Forces everywhere.
Yeah, bro.
So
If you don't have a pair of triple white Air Force Ones in your closet, there's something wrong, bro. Because I have a pair of triple white Air Force Ones, and then I have a pair of the Superstars, the Adidas Superstars.
right.
And I think both are a must white pair. Right.
So I personally never got the Air Force Ones.
Yo, this guy.
That was because I'm just very messy. I can't maintain a all white pair. But
Yo,
now
he comes to work every day with a white pair. This is cap.
that's so okay. Yeah, I'm willing to try it now since people are more accepting towards beaten up sneakers these days. So
Yo, what are you talking about, bro? Like, what do you mean?
so
No one's telling you to wear beaten up sneakers out
no,
clubbing,
it's
bro.
Real,
Like,
it's real tough to maintain a Air Force One triple white, bro. I mean, I've seen your
so let's
pair.
talk. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's talk about this since we're on this conversation. So sneaker care is like a pretty big thing, right?
Right.
Now. And we did a video recently where we took my beaten up Air Force Ones and we revamped
Right.
it using this brand Helios's products.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about beaten up pairs, there are ways in which you can avoid your Air Force Ones, one, to get that dirty, and two, to get that beaten up. And
Right.
three, they're also, even if you don't buy Helios products, which, by the way, I think are fantastic. Like, I have one of each, I think, which I just took. Like, I was just
That
like,
was
bhai, ye
amazing.
sample mein de de. And then I just kept it. But Helios' products are real good. Like, when I was in America, like, I used to use Crep Protect a lot.
Right.
Because that's the one.
Crep product is damn expensive in India. Like,
Yeah.
I guess Helios products are like maybe 50% cheaper than them.
Yeah,
It's
so
half
that's
the
what.
price.
So when I was speaking to the Helios guy, and I was like, because even Crep Protect contacted us a while back. I think I had shown you their proposal, and I was like, who is gonna spend so much money on sneaker care? But then Helios came in, and they have the same grade of product, and it's less than 50%. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Like, not cheap. Like, the wipes come for like $150 or so. So, like, that's
Yeah, I know.
for somebody wearing 20K worth of shoes, you won't mind spending 150
$150.
But like Crep Protect, so yeah, it depends. They're doing really good job, and yeah,
Yeah, Helios.
shout out to Bilal.
Shout out Bilal. Helios.
So,
Helios is making some great moves in the sneaker care. So
definitely.
I feel like you saying something like, I don't know about Air Force Ones getting beaten up, like I feel Bilal would be personally offended by that.
So yeah, like coming back to why I haven't had Indian streetwear brands, like sorry, specifically sneakers in my
Right,
closet. Uh, it's because there's not a lot of design elements that have come up when it comes to sneakers in India. Like we have had very basic collections, and even then, they're mostly inspired by our regular Puma and Reebok and Nike
right.
general releases. Like it's like the same design except the logo. So I would definitely be willing to, and I'm open to try out any or all of these brands which come up, given that they put that much effort into creating a masterpiece. Like now, moving from the hype lover point of view, I've come down to a bit moderate in the middle, and I
Right.
am now open to try out all the silhouettes which appeal to me and to my dressing sense and my fashion language. Uh, but yeah, I don't see that many sneaker players which are in India right now.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't necessarily see that many players in the market as well, which is why what I think Kavit is doing is an anomaly and someone that all of us in the culture should be pushing because his pieces are truly, truly custom silhouettes.
Right.
And I
So like
think
I
another shout out before you proceed. Um, I do know about a friend of ours that owns Ajanta shoes,
right.
and he has a in-house brand called Impacto,
Impacto, right.
right? Or Impacto. I think he pronounces it as Impacto. And Impacto, I think recently they've been trying to collaborate with artists to come up with their own shoes. That seems very interesting because for artists to be coming up with their own shoes, and I'm talking about musicians, not really graphic designers and stuff. So I think Raghu RVD, check out his music. Shout out Raghu if you're listening to this. His new music is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, so yeah, so I think they're doing a collab. Um, that seems interesting. But then
Yeah,
again,
like
I don't know about the silhouettes, right? The
right.
silhouettes is what. See, if you go down like the manufacturing aspect, right, to create a new silhouette
Exactly.
is
So like
pretty hectic.
it has to be comfortable, but also, you know, look good in a certain sense. Like look good as in it must go with each of the. So Jordan ones is a silhouette which I can imagine wearing with any outfit I want, and they come up with crazy crazy colors. So the colors don't really matter. They're gonna sell anyway if the silhouette is good.
Right.
So
So my question to you then is, I feel like Jordan brand don't make that many new silhouettes.
no, they don't. They don't,
So
and they have tried and failed.
yeah, so when you say things like you need to see new silhouettes, it's not like there are brands around the world that are coming up with new silhouettes necessarily. Also, remember one thing, like Nike, Adidas spend billions on
Billion.
R&D.
That's true.
Billions.
That's true. But like, okay, so I'll come down to a recent silhouette that like it just boomed up in the market,
Which one?
and this was by Puma. It was called the RSX,
Oh yeah, yeah.
running system something. So these were okay. So these are not really, I would say, according to my opinion, not an original design of theirs.
Right.
They were kind of inspired by the Balenciaga Triple S's, the chunky shoes
Oh,
by
okay. You think
they
it's like
had.
a diet version.
Yeah, it
Right.
was going crazy, and
Right.
like it was directly inspired, and yeah, like that was one silhouette that in the past couple of years I've seen almost everybody get one pair each, I have like a couple of pairs of that silhouette, and it's really mad comfortable, and it looks real nice. It has a lot of elements to it, various color options. They have
Right.
come up with like hundreds of different color options. They release it
They
four
are,
times in a
yeah.
year.
I
So
think they definitely overdid the whole
they
RSX.
they did overdo it. Like now it's pushing it, but
Yeah.
they should have stopped. But
I do like what Puma is doing with their collabs though.
right, right,
I think Puma does the best collabs
definitely
with the coolest
the
people.
coolest people. Yeah, for sure. That's for sure.
Like they did a collab with the hundreds, which is
Right.
pretty cool. I also read, I think someone had given, yeah, there was the owner of Curry Studio,
Right.
Shreya. She had given me This Is Not a T-shirt brand by Bobby Hundreds, which is a biography of Bobby Hundreds and how it started and everything. So, I mean, the hundreds, like after reading that, like I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And so they did something with the hundreds. They did something with the London Fashion School. I can't remember the name. Sorry. Then they keep doing cool. They did something with Keith Haring. They did something with what's that kid guy that does the doodles?
Yeah.
Super Kid or something?
Can't really recall.
Kid Super. Kid Super.
Kid Super. Right. Right.
Not
right,
Super
right.
Kid. My B, dude.
That was also going really crazy.
Yeah,
I
Kid Super.
almost copped a pair of that, but
Kid Super, the collab that they had, like the jackets and stuff, were pretty
yeah,
sick.
that was
Bro.
pretty
Pretty
sick.
sick.
Pretty sick.
Pretty sick. So yeah, like what else you got topic wise?
So yeah, let's move towards Ten Hills a little bit. So
Sure.
Ten Hills is going through a lot of changes right now. We recently renovated one of our rooms,
Right.
and we have a capsule collection coming out real soon.
Yeah.
So the designs are complete. We're just taking your feedback, and for sure it'll be launching anytime soon.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about these changes, and what's your immediate future vision for Ten Hills as a
Right,
brand
so-
and as a platform?
Right. So I'll start off with the brand. So basically, it basically started with the whole 30-day design challenge, right? Where I was trying to churn out a design every single day.
That was crazy though.
Yeah. And that got a little tiring. And I was like, I don't know why I put myself in this situation where I have to come up with a design every day. And so what we did was that we obviously designed it and then we printed it in the same day as well. So we had so many extra products and not enough shelf space. So we had to renovate one room to create more rack space for our in-house products, right? So that was the start of it, right? And then the capsule collection, I just felt like what the 30-day design challenge kind of taught me was that it's easier to come up with something more cohesive than to come up with a new concept every day.
True.
So I think what we've done with the capsule collection is explore a deeper concept and kind of really go all in on the concept. And so we're doing half button up shirts, we're doing a dad hat, we're doing shorts, we're doing 3 graphic tees, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So it's a proper 6-7 product drop, which is going to be our first ever capsule collection. So
it's titled Mania, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, it is titled Mania. Yeah.
So what's like your first ever capsule collection? You name it Mania.
Okay.
What's the story behind that?
So there's a deeper reason. Our marketing guy, Paurav, he messaged me yesterday asking me the same thing. And so I had created this like note essentially. And I can read it out. It would be really funny if I did.
I mean, we are here to connect.
All right. I mean, this is me being super vulnerable, so I mean, it was easier for me to write it down than it is for me to talk about it. So I'll start off with what mania means. So mania, by definition, is a mental illness which is marked by periods of great excitement or euphoria, delusions, and overactivity. So basically, what that means is that you've experienced extreme ends, like extreme euphoria and extreme deep lows, right? So that's what being manic means, or having a manic episode means. So about 3 years back, this is where my journey with mental illness started. So I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder and panic disorder. And this is after not having any coping mechanisms for many years. So growing up without really knowing that, right? So kind of coping with different kinds of social anxiety and also anxiety in general was like something that we as a culture don't really discuss as much. And also I just didn't know that I had something like that. Like it was a feeling and I didn't know how to explain it. I just thought that is how I am, basically. That is how I process things.
Right.
Like, I will have euphoric highs, and you've been around me to know that I can be super high, I can be super low, and then I can be super active, I can be super lazy, right?
Right.
So I don't necessarily have manic disorder, but I think panic disorder is somewhat similar in that sense. And it sounded like a better name than panic. Pania would not have been a thing. But yeah, so the kind of me as my first capsule collection or my first design collection, accepting those struggles and those ups and downs, and kind of is basically like an effort to not only find stability, but also to validate that that is something that I have been struggling with, and also kind of just put it out in the universe in a way that, like, I always felt like some people would consider me to be weaker if I accepted this about me, or that people would think something's wrong with me. But now, after having been on medication and help for the last 3 years, I'm in a much, much better state now. And I feel like a lot of these anxieties and stuff have slowly faded away, and I feel more comfortable than ever, more relaxed, more like just happier, more stable. So just as my first collection, I kind of wanted to just kind of validate something that was really personal to me, you know. So it's a very personal thing to me that I'm kind of tying into this collection. And I've always said, I don't know if I've said this to you, is that if I ever wanted to design something, it has to be an extension of myself. So because I view clothing as a means of self expression, so when I'm designing stuff, I am kind of hoping that I can achieve the same thing. I know that there are many people in India and outside that struggle with mental illness, either diagnosed or undiagnosed. A lot of the times undiagnosed because not a lot of people are talking about it here, and it's not as accepted. Like, I think the first time one of my stomach doctors, because my stomach doctor was the one that realized that I might have more of like an anxiety thing than an actual stomach issue. And he put me on to this psychiatrist, and my dad's instant reaction was like, no, that's not a thing, you know, because in his mind he was like, okay, you're not crazy, but I know, like, there are levels to everything, and some people are functional, some people are non-functional, and to kind of paint a picture that everyone is in the same category with regards to mental illnesses and stuff is not the right way to think of it. I kind of view it as how, say, if your physical self, like say you have a cold or a cough or something like that, like your mind can also have a cold or a cough, right? Like
True.
you're still a physical part of you. It is still a physical part of you, and it's very easy to have that. Like it's not crazy. So I mean, when I was speaking to my psychiatrist, one thing that kept coming up was his way of explaining it is like super simple. And he was like, sometimes there's serotonin levels that drop in your brain, which causes you to have these kind of things. And what we'll do is that we'll just help you artificially to naturally and then slowly build naturally increase your serotonin levels, to which it doesn't happen. So
Hmm.
it really is as simple as that. I think that people, it is complicated in certain aspects or certain mental illnesses, but say something like a general anxiety disorder like mine or a panic disorder, there are ways to kind of help stay course and kind of, yeah, seek help, bro. Like I feel like that's one of the things that I now tell people for sure. Like I will openly talk about it, even though I feel like at times people around me might feel uncomfortable about it, but I don't feel uncomfortable about it because I know that I'm not crazy and I know that it's a very episodic type thing. Like it's something that comes and goes and it's not in my control, and it can be overwhelming when it does happen. But then there are ways to kind of, you know, get back and stuff like that. So
So
yeah,
that's
mania.
how much an artist is connected to what he puts it out there.
Yeah,
So you heard it from him.
right.
His first capsule collection, how close it is. That's how artists think. That's how they
I
operate, I believe.
I mean, some people.
Some
There are also a lot of, I won't name anyone, but
lazy people.
there's a lot of. So I don't know how you guys feel, but some of the Instagram ads nowadays are really,
Oh,
really
crazy. I've
of
been
just
getting.
streetwear, like
It's like.
just doodles. Dude, I literally made a design recently saying doodle is not streetwear. Doodle is now streetwear, quote unquote.
Yeah,
Where I was like, bro, like stop just. Honestly, the feeling is stop just copying jaywalking, right? Like
yeah,
honestly,
exactly. Like Jay started. It's his brand image, his brand identity. Like when you see doodles like that, you
right,
expect it from jaywalking, but
right.
these brands be copying jaywalking, like, and it's not even something which
Not even subtle. Like
Yeah,
remember that
exactly.
one brand you showed me? I won't name it,
Yeah,
but
please don't.
huh?
I said please don't.
Yeah.
We're not here to.
Yeah, no, please. Yeah, we're not going to because we still platform
Yeah.
everyone. And but in general, like there was this one brand you showed me, and it was like such a close rip off of one of Jay's designs, which was
Yeah.
like the back of
Right.
like that lady or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. He has a fat lady
That
design.
lady design. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it was like
I didn't
a
know if
complete
calling her
rip-off.
fat, but beautiful lady was the word, if I'm not mistaken. Stop fat shaming people, Suyash.
So yeah.
He be fat shaming me low key. Like he literally, I think, couple of days back. Just a side note, he's like randomly touches my stomach, and he's like, Like he's a man of few words, so goes a long way. And on top of that, he was like, "So what's your weight? Like, what are you at right now?" And I was like, "I'm like 82,
I
83."
I don't fat shame people. I just think they should stay in shape. I'm just concerned for my good friend here.
So he went, Also, just an FYI, like I am not fat. Like I'm
Yeah.
like 82 kgs. I'm 6'1". I think that that's a pretty normal height for, sorry, normal weight for that height. And
I hear you.
yeah, and also don't hate on fat people, bro. Like,
Not really. So yeah, that was like, I guess, it for today.
yeah. Do you want to talk about the future plans for Ten Hills? Like what people can expect?
So yeah, I think we are definitely going to be having guests with us. It's not just going to be us two boring you. We are going to have
Uh,
other people pour in their ideas, their views. I'm sure you're
Arey
open to.
yaar, like we're not that bad also. Actually, I'll have to rewatch this. Although I don't know if I rewatch this, I'd feel like putting it out. So maybe that's a bad idea.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, dude, I don't know why I feel really self conscious with cameras, bro. I hate being in front of the camera. I think video is still doable, but like photos, like my eyes can't even stay open. Like, I don't know. I guess I just have drooping eyes.
So yeah,
Like talking about
Let's see how
drooping
it
eyes,
works.
I think one of my friends is coming up with a brand called Drooping.
Oh, interesting.
So his brand will be out soon. Shout out Anmol. He's been harassing me to help him out.
Why not? I mean, if he is, and like the in this community, your efforts won't go unnoticed. Like if you are actually doing something which connects to people, it does, because it's such a niche market right now that it's not really a market but more of a community.
I would say
So
that. I would agree with that.
everybody is connected with everybody in some sort of way, and I'm into streetwear. If I search for streetwear on Instagram, I get an ad for streetwear every single day. Like I almost know all the streetwear brands that are, quote unquote popular. So yeah, like it's not really that difficult to go uh,
Find them,
unnoticed.
yeah.
And yeah,
I
like,
think what would be your advice to people that are potentially, say, watching us from like an organic search or something and not via our audience already? Like they are looking for streetwear or they're looking for ways to express themselves. What advice would you tell them? I mean, of course, come to Talent Studio, but in general, like, how did you search, or how do you search for your own clothing?
so yeah, it's definitely uh, via a lot of ads. I really tend to open all the streetwear ads that I come across, but
Do you buy from the streetwear ads?
yeah, that's a long road. So I definitely keep them aside and stuff like that. It's a whole another process. But yeah, definitely I'll
He
think.
does shop a lot. Like he definitely.
Oh, I am
If
the
you're a streetwear brand that's watching this, like he's probably shopped from you. Just look up Suyash Somvanshi.
I'm one of the biggest customers of Tunnels as well.
Oh yeah,
before
yeah, yeah.
I
That
started
is true.
working. So
Oh yeah, this guy literally like in his interview he literally brought up this video that I had randomly made like via like just my phone camera
yeah.
about like thrifting in India and stuff, and like I was like, damn, like people actually watch that. Like,
So yeah, he has this video up about thrifting. So there
oh
were
bro,
these
please don't watch that.
there were these couple of months during lockdown when I had just nothing to do and I was very bored, and I just started thrifting a lot. It was like 2 crazy months with
That was
two
when
to
the
three
whole
products every
thrift
day.
store was also
Yeah.
like blowing up.
Yeah. That's the time when thrifting was also really blowing up, and I just rode the wave, I guess, and I was
Dude,
very
I remember exactly what you're talking about because when I realized that there were Instagram pages that were into thrift, I just saw like hundreds of them. I would like tap down
yeah,
on any thrift page and then go see like 20. And then
like
I bought so much stuff from these thrift stores, and then I was like, okay, this is not my.
so then he decided
This is
to
not-
open a thrift store of his own. So yeah, like
I mean, my goal has always been to push homegrown brands,
Right.
streetwear, sneakers, urban clothing, lifestyle, whatever. Like, push homegrown brands, push homegrown artists. That's what our platform is about, right? Like, that's what Ten Hill Studio is about. Core.
Yeah.
And then there's also like some stuff like reselling sneakers and shit. But
You're gonna make some money.
so yeah, so like that's there. And then the eventual long-term goal for Ten Hill Studio is to eventually become a fashion house.
Right.
And I discuss this with you guys often. But putting it out that would be really cool is basically we want to kind of help startup brands and designers, startup designers kind of create their brands and be involved, help them with production, help them with marketing, help them. That's what we're creating is like a vertically integrated like business model also
Right.
where I guess we will eventually own say a percentage of equity and kind of provide all these services and then have like this. My dream is to have like a massive office where all of these designers and cool people are there and we're all just collaborating on designs, and then we have this marketing team, and then we have in-house.
I can visualize
Yeah,
that.
and
It
that
looks
that would,
awesome.
yeah, that would be great. Like a fashion house which does urban clothing and lifestyle products would be sick.
So yeah, like essentially what on a very small scale we're trying to achieve at the Blank project.
Oh yeah, the Blanks
So-
project. Yeah.
So yeah, we for the audience which has not already been associated with us, we have the Blank project. So when you go in the market right now to find a fit that's streetwear fit, you may call oversized fit or a boxy fit.
Right.
It's very difficult because the manufacturers only make regular fit t-shirts or slim
Slim
fits, which
fit.
were also very popular. But since this requires more of the material of the fabric, it's heavier and all of those stuff. They require
They
a
just
minimum
don't
order
want
quantity.
to. Yeah, they don't want to do it because it has a different pattern, and the minimum order quantity is at least 200 to 400 pieces per design per color.
Per color.
So what we are doing with the Blanks project is that we're giving you that boxy fit. We're giving it to you with color options with zero minimum order quantity. So you can
exactly.
buy one piece from us, you can buy 50 pieces from us. We tend to be towards the lower than 100 category just because then we'll just put you in touch with someone that can actually do that
Sure.
quantity. But for us right now, we really want to help graphic designers, anyone that wants to start up their own brand,
So
anyone that has some kind of artistic capacity
So
and
yeah,
wants to
we-
create their own merch and shit, whatever.
via this Blank project, like we are definitely helping a lot of streetwear brands.
Yeah,
Like,
we have quite
right
a
now
few.
we are providing them to quite a few brands which are starting up and
Yeah.
they're sampling their products and all of those their own processes. But what I also found very cool is that we've from time to time we keep having some designers. So like last day you were in the
Right.
back office. I met with a designer which came through. He was looking for black medium blanks. So I was like, "Are you starting your own brand or stuff like that?" He was like, "No. Are you looking at this T-shirt?" So I said, "Yeah, but this is one of one. I made this myself."
Yeah,
And,
that's
like-
what I meant by graphic
Yeah.
designers.
So
because
he's like, no brand expresses his opinions the way he does himself.
Yo,
So he wants to
I
make
love
his
that.
own clothes. He designs his own clothes, he prints them out, and then he wears them. So that's what he was there for. He was like, I was looking for good quality, cheap blanks, but people want me to place at least 10 orders of each, or either I go to H&M and Zara and purchase those shit expensive blanks. So it's
Right.
like you came to the right place. We'll for sure hook you up.
Yeah. So, I mean, just talking about that, like, I was actually having a long conversation with someone at a friend's party this weekend. And basically, he's a part of the dance community here. And I think someone had mentioned to him that, oh, like you're a has been or something like that. Like some random person told him that, and he felt like pretty like away about that. Not in like a bad way, but it was affectful, I'm sure, because he does a lot for the dance community, and he continues to do so. So, and this is what happened to me also when I first dropped Calcutta is Dead, and few of my early designs is that I would get 9 great positive feedback and then 1 negative feedback, which would be someone feeling offended about the design or about something. Could be anything. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's one quote that I think Virgil said, which I really stick by, and that's one of my go to things when I'm being creative. If someone feels as though there is no t shirt that represents them accurately, make it yourself. Right? So if you don't, if I mean, I don't want to use profanity, but if you don't F with my designs, make your own. Like, if you don't F with anyone's designs, make your own. Like,
True.
no one is stopping you from exploring your creative side. There's no need for hate. There's no need for being offended. If you don't F with a certain style, you don't, man. It's cool. Like, I don't F with polos. Like, it's not like I'm gonna start telling people, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
message them and say, hack it, I hate you, you spoil everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's my advice to anyone that's pursuing anything creative. If you hear anything negative about your creative artwork, just tell them tum bana ke, just tum bana. Like, you know what I mean? Just make it yourself. Like, why you just like if you feel like there's something that you could be doing better and you feel like you're creative enough or you feel like you're better than them in this aspect, do it, man. Just do it. Just don't talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, do something. Kuch karke dikha bhai.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, if you're pursuing your creative work, don't let these negative comments or negative people hinder you from the path. There's a lot that you can get out of it, And to the negative people that are hating on us or hating on stuff that you're doing, just tell them it just means that they have an opinion and an aesthetic, and that they just need to do their own thing, and that's cool too, right? Like, we're here for that. We're here for helping you start your own thing. You don't mess with any of the brands that we have in our store. Come speak to us. Let's get you started.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure, for sure. So that's what, like, it's very beneficial in both ways, I believe, because looking at some of these designers, even if they don't want to start their own brands, they can still have some designs featured in our store. That was another thing that we are planning to start real soon. Is that even if you're not
Alright.
planning to start up your full-fledged brand and a company and stuff like that, you can be under 10 Hills as a freelance designer. You can make your designs, give it to us. We'll have it on the racks.
I mean, not as a freelance designer, but as like their
I mean,
own
yeah,
brand. Yeah.
as a designer. So
It would
yeah.
it would still be their own.
Yeah.
Like, it won't be under 10 Hills. Like, we'll be providing the blanks, so maybe it can be a collaboration, but
Yeah.
it won't be
Something
yes.
along the lines.
Yeah,
Just come
that's
through, we'll
something
figure
to
it
work.
out.
Yeah, I think this is a very case by case situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that positive note, let's call it a day. Thank you guys for watching. Do like it. Do subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, definitely help us reach more people. If you're watching this on Instagram, maybe share it to some of your friends. If you're listening to this on Spotify, um, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I don't use Spotify, but if you are listening to this on Spotify,
Just spread the
consider
word around,
YouTube
man.
Music.
Spread it around.
All right. Thank you guys. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.
Thank you for joining, guys. Ciao.